Hey there, howdy, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, the rest of it. Today we're going to be talking about commitment issues. So if you're currently seeing someone who has commitment issues, or you really feel like maybe you've got commitment issues, or maybe you're in a relationship that's taking too goddamn long to sort of figure out or create what you want to do, well, I'm going to be offering a different perspective on commitment issues that will give you some solace and maybe help you understand who you're actually dating or what's going on through your own mind. And by the end of this video, maybe you'll know a little bit about love. So I just want to do little asterisks at the start of the video that commitment issues come for a variety of reasons. The very basic of the reasons why people will have an issue committing, well, I would put into one or two categories. One is either being a fear-based issue, so they're afraid of commitments, they're genuinely afraid because of what it means to them. So it would be that, oh, if I get married or if I get into a relationship with someone, well, it's what does it mean? Does it mean I have to give up? Does it mean I lose my sense of self? For someone who is afraid of relationships or afraid of committing to a relationship, well, generally speaking, it's because they're actually afraid. If not the relationship, but what they think it has. So the second reason why someone might actually have commitment issues is because, well, it's not actually what they want. And that might be the hard thing to actually understand sometimes, because when it's not actually what they want, but they're not ready to admit it yet, so that's when you can be sometimes in a little bit of a limbo. And that can be painful to be in. So I want to offer a bit of understanding more about commitment issues and one particular sort of genre that sort of captures both of these particular issues. That is, are they afraid, or is it not what they actually want? Because when they find out that they don't want it, they're going to eventually move away. And a solution that can help you right now so you can take fucking action now. Just get it done with and start to live a fucking happy life. Wouldn't that be good? I like to think so. So I want to offer a different way of looking at commitment issues, because generally speaking, the people who will watch this kind of video, my assumption, is that they are dating someone currently and they're trying to take it to the next level, and as a result, they're not really feeling like it's moving forward. Because if that person has so much commitment issues, they would have completely avoided you entirely, and well, it would feel like you're not actually in a relationship with them. All of this basically comes down to the idea that they are in denial that they're in a relationship with you. Because if you're dating someone, right? If you're dating someone and it's not going further, and maybe you feel like they're hiding you, or maybe you feel like they're avoiding certain things, well, truth be told, they're in fucking denial that they're in a relationship with you. Hands fucking down. So if they're in denial, right? What that means is that they're actually avoiding feeling something. When people are in denial, what they are denying is an aspect of themselves through you. So I'll say that again. When people are in denial, what they are denying is an aspect of themselves through you. So it might be that they're denying, for example, that they can feel loved. And when you make them feel loved, guess what? They're avoiding that. Then they have issues because they're afraid of it. So they are avoiding themselves feeling loved. Why? Because it might be painful for them. They might have been loved in the past and they got them hurt, or it might feel like, well, hey, if they love, they'll be let down. You know, some people really feel like that sometimes. But denial of being in a relationship can lead to a hell of a lot of problems, because when we are dating someone who's in denial of the fact that they're in a relationship, it's sort of half in, half out. You're trying to make something of it, but it doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere. So you try and push them a bit forward, and they push back because they're not ready to admit that they're actually in a relationship with you, or they actually care about you. So you're in this goddamn limbo zone. And if you're someone who has commitment issues and you're watching this, I don't know why you would be watching this. It's like being aware of the fact that you're in denial of the relationship, and more specifically, denial of the relationship is denial of oneself, which means you're avoiding feelings. The fact that you are aware of this now through watching this video is literally all the help you need. You know, it's once you're aware of it, that's when it starts to open up. It's like those old school can of worms, like you open it up and all the snakes fly out. It's sort of like that. Healing and understanding, once you have the right mindset or the right tools or the right understanding, bang, you open it up, everything flies out. So it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So understanding that we can be in denial of being in relationships can be a really fucking refreshing idea. But if you're dating someone, right? If you're dating someone, what do? If they are in denial, because sometimes that happens, you know? I've seen so many people, and the amount of people that come to me and we work together, it's fantastic. If you're one of those people, you can apply for a call now. But the amount of people that will come to me and that will say that they're dating someone and they're in a relationship, but they're not, like their partner is not admitting that they're in a relationship, is a lot more than it goddamn should be. So here's this thing though, right? Because how do we turn it around? Well, the truth is it comes down to our ability to express ourselves. And I think there's a power in there because we can blame them. We can say, yeah, but they're in denial. But does that make you happy to blame them? We can blame ourselves, saying, we didn't do enough. But does that make you happy to blame yourself? I think at the end of the day, what makes people most happy is actually, one, learning unconditional happiness. That's probably a separate topic. But also, actually having the relationship they want. So through this, I'm going to ask you to let go of losing the person. Because often when we're afraid of losing the person, we actually stop ourselves from doing everything that it actually takes to get that person in our life. For example, someone might be afraid of losing someone, so they let that person walk all over them. And then at the end of the day, they're like, well, I wish I was with someone who I respected, and then they leave. But when you're not afraid to express yourself, you get one of two outcomes. You get a polarizing outcome. Polarizing. It's like on or off. It's like, are you with me or are you not? Now, usually someone would have decided to be with you, right, within the first couple of weeks or so. So this video is sometimes for people who have been dating for months. They're dating for months and for some reason it's just not working because they're in denial. There's commitment issues. Commitment issues in this case, in the example or through the lens that we are looking through. Not to say that all commitment issues are denial, but through the lens that we are looking through, because all commitment issues come into one of two categories. They're either afraid of what it means or they just didn't want that person. And the reason why they're taking so long to admit it is because it takes too long for them to figure it out. And how do you figure out something? You know, you eat spicy food to realize you don't like food that spicy. You find what you want when you find what you don't want. So sometimes life is a bit of a shifting and sorting process where they need to shift and sort. And so maybe they needed to date you to realize that, well, they didn't want to date you. And sometimes that's the case. But if we make it mean something about us, that's when we start to traumatize ourselves. We create more problems for us for what we actually needed. So when we are less afraid, because you don't have to throw fear away, it's just like less afraid. You don't have to be completely fearless because fear, right? Being completely fearless, I think, is a fool's game. You know, fear exists for a reason. Bear comes, run away from bear. Good fear, right? Fear when fear is required. But fear in a relationship, fear of losing someone comes down to fear of, well, honestly, fear of lack of love because we can't love ourselves. But if we can love ourselves and can learn to feel good about ourselves and can learn to understand ourselves and know ourselves, what happens is we're a lot less afraid of losing someone. And when we're a lot less afraid of losing someone, we might actually do the things that actually require because we'll feel happy and content. We're not solely requiring that person to make us feel good about ourselves. The fear of losing someone is usually why we do, or why we create weird relationships that we can't fully express ourselves in. So these are it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. There's something you want to write down from this video is very simply, what we fear is what we tend to create. You know, someone might be afraid of intimacy, so they stop it because of what they think intimacy might mean, right? So they're denying themselves by denying the intimacy because they're afraid of the fear. They're uncomfortable with fear. You know, letting go of fear sometimes just means being comfortable in fear, learning to feel it, learning to be okay with it. Because someone who's afraid of intimacy, they might be afraid of it, then they push their partner away because their partner's trying to be intimate, then they're like, what's wrong with me? And then they think it's about them, but really it's not. It's not about anyone, it's just about fear. It's about cause and effect. This is why recently I've started to call myself a synchronistic love and dating coach. Honestly, because I look at the direct relationship between emotions and the actions that we take and the results that we get as a result. And really it comes down to our emotions, our healing, our how we're comfortable in who we and what we are. And at the end of the day, the amount of people that are in awkward limbo relationships are in goddamn awkward limbo relationships with themselves. They're afraid of dealing with their fear, so they let people walk all over them and they create these awkward relationships. But it's the very thing, if they weren't afraid of their fear, what would happen is they would do everything that they needed to do in the first place and not even have met that person, but met someone more in alignment with them. Because remember, you have a relationship with your love life before you have a relationship with someone else. Some people, they're like so afraid of losing someone, and that's the very reason why they don't. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't care about someone, because you can have people in your life, and you can want people in your life, and you can need people in your life, right? But if your whole existence is reliant on them being in your life, that's when you fucking suffocate a relationship, because you need them in your life. So you hold them down. You're like, I need you. So I'm here to say, to become more comfortable with fear, if you are in a relationship with someone who is afraid of commitment, they are in denial. So it's almost like you being in denial of the fact that they're in denial and trying to say it's a good relationship isn't gonna help. And it's interesting because if you're in that situation, watching a video like this must be somewhat jarring. You know, for someone else who's not in it, they just like to learn about love. They're like, yeah, that makes sense. But for someone who's really in this situation, something like this might be polarizing. It's either on or it's off. It's like, this is good, it gives me a solution, or this is scary because it makes me confront my fucking feelings. But how else do you expect someone else to confront their feelings if you are unable to confront your own? It's very simple. It is like dominoes. From inwards goes outwards. From inwards goes outwards. You feel yourself, the things fucking knock down, and the cause and events perfectly fucking synchronistically align up to create the relationship that you want. So if you haven't gotten my new free online course, you can get it, link in the description. It's called Worthy of Love. In this thing, it's a 5-day online video course with me, your boy Harvey Hook. We talk about one of the biggest mindsets and one of the biggest feelings and emotions that surround someone's ability to be loved, and that is their feeling of worthiness of love. And without this feeling, without this thing, what tends to happen is you might create a relationship, but it might be one that it feels fucking terrible. You know, if you ever met someone who goes and they break up with someone only to create the exact same relationship, or if you've ever been in that situation, it might just be down to the mindset and the feeling of worthiness of love. So this is my free course. It's not where I'm trying to sell you on anything. Fuck selling. I want to make the world better. So you can get that now. Link is in the description, or if you can go to gettinghooked.com, it's there. And if you do want to work with me one-on-one, bing! And if you do want to work with me one-on-one, you still can. It's at www.gettinghooked as well, private coaching. You can get a complimentary free call. You can apply for one, and I'll talk to you soon in person, if not sooner. All right.